Good evening, folks. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and welcome to another episode 15 of Something More Than Gibberish. Today, our featured guest is Angela Sam, at Angela_Sam. She's a fellow Australian poetess. She writes some amazing poetry, very involved in the Instagram community on so many platforms, hosting lives left, right, and center. She is the ever-present lady on Instagram in terms of poetry and very supportive. Really looking forward to this featuring Angela and our work today. Without further ado, I've got my co-host Gemini. I'll bring her up and get this show on the road. Let's keep our fingers crossed that. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm okay. How are you?
Not too bad. Looks like it's pretty cold in your neck of the world.
It's a little chilly.
A little chilly. Hello, Angela.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's been a long time coming. Looking forward to hearing more about your journey. Normally, we see you hosting a lot of lives on different platforms. You're supportive. You're writing prompts. You're portrait support every time I see you on there. So you do so much. So really looking forward to making this all about you and showcasing and let your work and your journey and letting the world know about Angela Sam, about Angela Sam's writing, about Angela Sam's work, what drives her. So welcome and thank you for agreeing to be on the show.
Firstly, thank you guys. Thank you, Rania. Thank you, Steph, for this opportunity. I'm all about showcasing others. I find it really hard to market myself. I'm not sure what you guys are like, but this is going to be really hard. Talking about me is really, I don't know. I get a bit shy. I'm, I guess, one of the most extrovert introverts. I am really naturally an introvert. I guess I just learned to become an extrovert, so people, it was just easier for me to talk to people and then they would leave me alone. So if I talk to them right at the beginning, they'll leave me alone for the rest of the evening and I could just sit there and observe because I love to observe humanity. And that's a lot. You can see a lot of that in my writing, but that's, yeah. But thank you.
That is a fair point, actually. Like hosting and being there for others, I find that much easier than if somebody wanted me to promote myself. I find it easier if the recognition comes from somewhere else than myself, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm readily willing to uplift and support others. So that's a very fair point. But there's a good and a bad in that, right? And I see this myself because I like to sit back and watch life and learn from it and reflect on it, and that comes out in my poetry. But the other side is sometimes we've got to promote ourselves just so that our word, our advice, in our lessons that we prescribe through our poetry becomes more available to people in need. So, and I realize that, but sometimes it is very, very hard, to get out there. So we're going to break that cycle for you today, and we're going to make this all about you today.
Oh, no.
Or it's going to be
Hence, yeah, that's why it's a lot of people keep on saying, when is your good book coming out? When's your book coming out? I'm always with others. I think that's what it is. It's me deflecting the promotion of self. So what's there say? She just disappeared. Oh, there you are.
I have to put my phone on live support or we'll be scrambling somewhere in the middle of the live. So It's on life
Oh,
support
no.
now.
Okay, cool.
And I fully resonate with that too, Angela, because I mean, I've been writing for 35, 37 years, and for 20 years I kept promising people that yes, I'll publish it, I'll publish my work. Finally, in July 21, I put out my first book. I had the cover picture of the first book
Mm.
hanging in my wall for now 36 years. It's been hanging up in my lounge room as a portrait. And finally, that picture got onto the book, and the book got out in July 21. That's how much I procrastinated, because it was exposing that inner vulnerability, wasn't it? Like, and that's pretty tough, especially if you're a private kind of person about that. And it just shows that, hey, besides the hardcore person here, there's a soft little crab that lives in there, and you're putting it out to the world, and you fear
Mm.
for it. So,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
you
had.
look brave.
Sorry, what were you going to say? Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, I
No, you're all right.
say he's brave because Mr. Woods is always telling me that I'm robbing God because he put something in me. It's not just for me. Once I write it down, it's supposed to be shared. So I've been chastised a couple of times on why I haven't written a book yet. So I'm in the category that you're in, Angela. So over here, just kind of trying to figure out which one of my babies I'm going to kick out into the world to be judged.
Can you see me now? Yeah, sorry, my phone I forgot to put it on silent. As someone tried to call through, so my apologies. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I
yes.
can.
Yeah, look, I'm in the process of, so I've got my book with someone, the editing at this very moment. I'm still adding, they suggested I removed a few, and I've added a few more recent ones. Because I found that I was actually using a lot of, I thought I'll go back and use older ones, but they're not who I am now. And so some people go, this isn't her words, but so what I've done is I've actually created 3 chapters, sort of dark light and some sort of like more like mythical style, like the I had all these short micro poems, and I've created them into larger poems. And then I've done and then what I've done is it's very much the way I write, and then I write next to it a very modern voice, so an old voice, and then written the same poem in a more of a modern voice, which was an interesting take. It was the editor's idea. I thought it was fantastic to actually do, because it's to show people that I'm not just this. I can do more than that. And sometimes people always ask me, "What are you trying to say?" What are you trying to say, Angela? So this is me saying, okay, this is what I'm trying to say in a modern voice. And then it becomes, you come sort of to, what's the word? You then are able to, people are able to see 2 sides, they're able to understand what you're trying to say, because everyone's different. That's it for me. But yeah, look, you got to just jump in there, Steph. I've already got 5 books, so I'm going to create a series. I was going to do one big book, and I thought, no, I'm going to go smaller, and I'm going to make it like a 5-part poetry series.
Gosh.
That way it's easy to hold. It's not a heavy thing. I don't want it to be someone's paperweight. I want it to be someone's, inside their bag, sitting there, and something for someone to get lost in. I want my books to be dog-eared. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be read over and over again. So I thought, we'd cut them up into 5 separate books. Although, so it's my computer. I'll try to turn off the power saving. So So yeah, no, that's what I'm looking at. So at the moment, I'm just to illustrate. This is the book. I need you to create a cover, but I want that cover, the spine, to go
Yeah.
across all 5 books. So
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, that's
nice.
going to
Nice.
be interesting. That's exciting.
mm,
Have 5 come out all at once? Are you going to release them all at once? Oh
no,
my God, you're going to tease them. You're going to tell them there's 5?
because
Angela, naughty, naughty,
they're
naughty.
not going to be like 1 year apart. They'll be like, I'll do them in 6 months, like intervals, because you need to.
You're going to get them hooked. I don't like you. I'm already hooked.
You should see. I've got books that I've written, and again, novels. And they're at there's 5. 5's my number. So, it's my lucky number. So I've got a series as well. Sci-fi fantasy series, which is there's 5. And they go back and forth. So everyone's gonna hate me.
Yeah.
It's, it's how it is.
Follow your inner instinct. Follow what feels right. That's all I
Mm,
can say.
mm,
Yep. So
exactly.
now I've been privy to know a little bit about your journey on how you started in this writing world. Can we share here how you started? What got the Angela Psalm writing, putting pen to hand? What drove her? What was the passion there?
Uh,
How did it all start?
oh, it didn't start from a good place. It started from a child who was bullied in primary school. So I started off with journaling. So I was I couldn't speak my feelings. A lot of times I used to get lost in books. I'd read books to get lost and just forget of who I was. I wanted to be someone else. So I had a really fantastic social teacher who said, start writing your feelings. If you can't speak it with words, through your voice, do it in writing. So that's how it started. I've come from a family of 4. I always felt very different. I look very different to my other siblings. So I used to go the postman's daughter. And, I used to come up with stories. Maybe I'm not their real child. Maybe that's why yeah, it's I've come to terms with I don't look like my parents. I look like my aunt. So there is resemblance. And I'm very different. The way my mind works, the way I am different. And for a long time I thought different was bad. And different is, and I've tried to empower my child that being weird and different, it's actually really good. It's don't ever feel like you have to be a carbon copy of anyone else. And that's when my writing started off. And at the age of 19, I was like avid journal writer. That's where I wrote a lot of my stuff and reading. And at the age of 19, for the first time, I decided I give a book of my poems to someone who I admired. And they told me, and lo and behold, they were an awful person. And they said that my writing wouldn't amount to anything, and that I would best stop writing. And I didn't write for a long time. So I would write poetry for family and stuff. My dad to this day goes, "Here's a card. Can you write a card for the wedding, for the engagement?" Because he knew, and it was the penmanship and stuff. I wrote, personal poetry for people that asked me for it. And then COVID happened. So for a lot of people, COVID was a bad thing. For me, COVID, it wasn't a good thing in the sense of that it really took me to a very dark place, but it was a good thing because it brought me back to my first love, which was writing. And a lot of people may have stopped off the whole Instagram thing because it's well and fully over, but I feel like I have to always be thankful for what I have gained through Instagram, and I feel like if I can help someone out there, if they're going through what I go through, or acknowledge them in some way, then I've done my job. My life purpose is to try and help people that are going through what I've gone through. And, you know, like a lot of us, we're actors and we put the smile on our face. And generally, there's truth there, but I do that because I can't, if I allow it to show through me in public, then it's going to overwhelm me. And when I start to feel that way, that's when I then go back to writing. And I've missed it because had lots of things happening with me at the moment in real life. So I'm hoping to get back to trying to finish this book, because I have to accomplish it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my journey into writing. Sorry, I'm a jabber.
Beautiful.
So much that you said, Angela, I can resonate with a lot of those pieces, a lot of those sentiments, and I think a lot of people would. There are quite often, it doesn't matter how close that family unit is, sometimes there is that alienation where you feel that you're different. You know, I felt that because I was very close to my father, and losing him at a young age, I'd lived behind a wall and showed my mother this love from behind a wall. And it must have been very confusing for her, because in certain aspects I was the most loving, caring child, you know, amongst as good as loving and caring as my sister, for example, and my brother and I are totally opposite. But yet she had this distance. Must have been very confusing for her, because I was, that fear of that alienation, felt that difference. But it was my way of protecting my fear of loss after losing dad, right? You mentioned the other, so much our words reaching out to people. Now, this particular segment, I share it also on YouTube, and I also do it on the main podcast channels as a podcast, mainly for that reason, because you don't know who will listen to it. Not everybody is an Instagram fan, and the pieces that we recite, the discussions we have, the expounding of your recitals that you'll do through the show, you don't know who hears these words, right? And it could be that one person that needs to hear it at the right time, and if that helps that person, the mission's done, right? The mission's accomplished. If it helps two people, even better, right? So, and I've got to admire now, you mentioned you've got a lot of things happening in your life now. I know you're studying. I know you've got a young child as well. And you're writing, you've got a book happening, and still you are ever present on social media, there for everybody. How do you juggle so many balls in the air? Like, I mean, where does Angela find time for her?
My time is Instagram, so that's my time. Because I learned something a long time ago, and Danny D.L. White, author, said if you don't schedule your life, you're gonna lose. You go cuckoo. So I've learned to schedule things, because you'll find that things will start to go out of control. So I'll schedule time to write. I'll schedule my lives. I've got everything. I mean, it's not so, so tight and everything, because otherwise you start to get anxious and then it goes the other way. But I schedule things in. I have to. Otherwise, I never used to. It was like, yeah, whatever. But now I have to, because I'm now working. So I'm working. I've gone back to school. I have a family, so husband and child, that I need to make sure give them the time. My writing, family stuff that are trying to sell something. It's like juggle. But yeah, like I said, schedule is the way to go. I lose myself otherwise. Yeah.
Now, somewhere in that schedule, which brings me to the point, you need to slot in a line saying dinner and drinks with Rainier. I have known this lady. So here's something for you folks. This lady I have known now possibly about. I've seen her on Instagram and all that, but I've probably connected with her probably 15 months ago when she bought my first book and promoted that, and we connected. And it so happens she lives 20 minutes up the road from me, and it's been 15 months we've been trying to find time to catch up for dinner and drinks or a coffee or something, and it hasn't happened. Me, so
Uh, yeah,
do
I
slide
have
that,
to
whatever your
definitely.
clue is.
It
Definitely.
hasn't
I
happened
was just thinking.
because I'm not here.
Yeah.
I have to be in Australia, so Angela will make time for you. Now, that
Oh,
doesn't mean that she doesn't like you, but I am an added bonus.
yes.
Clearly.
I was just speaking to my husband just before we jumped on. I went, oh God, I've got to bloody schedule something in with yourself and Josh, or with either of you, because yeah, definitely would love to catch up. Because I know that I try to catch up with others, and they just seem to just, live in the same state or whatever, and it doesn't happen. So definitely. And now with Christmas coming on, I don't know, it's gonna be crazy. So maybe in the new year,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I don't, you know what it's like. You've got about 20 events happening up from now until the end of the year. So yeah, definitely, we
Yeah.
have to catch up.
Yeah, so what she
The
said that she's given me enough time to plan to get there.
It's because it's not an event without Steph.
No, it's not.
so you mentioned that this mentor really knocked the wind off your sails. How did you get over that?
It it, it, it took me a long time. It took someone to say, how did you know that they weren't jealous and they did that on purpose? And I was like, no, they wouldn't do that. But then I thought, I really don't know them. So maybe they did want to do that. Because they were published in lots of poetry anthologies and stuff like that. I thought, they knew what they were talking about, but then I looked into it and I was, years down the track, and I'm thinking, I've got these anthologies, let me look into him. And he's not writing anymore. And
Your
so I
laptop
don't
might
know.
be.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just got myself up and just moved on, which is what I tend to do anyway. I get knocked down pretty hard, but I always get myself up and just move on. I don't hold on to things too much. Just be wary. You knock me down. Someone knocks me down. You'll be a line in my poem. Which I've done. There's a couple of people who were not so nice on here, and they've been fortunate enough to be part of one of my poems. I don't say their names and I don't say anything. I just, tease them. That's why I either kill them or I murder them in there, or no, I don't. But yeah, no, you know what they say? Don't cross the poet.
Yeah,
That I always tell people. I always
Because
tell
you'll be
people,
a
don't make me write about you.
yeah.
If I write about you, it's one thing, but if you make me write about you, it's something totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm learning to take that warning seriously, Angela. I keep getting threats about that I'm going to write about you soon, and it's making me very nervous by a certain poetess.
Well, I already
But
did it. You just haven't heard it yet.
oh my God, I live in a nervous wreck. So Angela, can we hear one of your pieces and maybe talk about that, and then read a few of
All right, let me just because I've just sort of gone. All right, I'm gonna go for probably a 12-month-old one.
While you're looking for something, I must say, say between the one that you do with Sky, who's hilarious, I absolutely love her to death, and then the Poetry Support BT and every other live that you recite stuff. And it's not easy as a host to read other people. Well, I find it challenging, other people's work, especially if you haven't read it before. You don't know where the line breaks, the pause. But you do that really quite well. I guess you've done it for a while, but you do that pretty well. I
Yeah.
do dread when reading any of your pieces because there's always a curveball word there that I'm going, oh God, how do I pronounce this? When you're caught on the spot like the rabbit in the spotlight. You and
Yeah.
Zooks, you can do that. Yeah, you throw some words in there, they go, oh, hang on.
What's that? What did she try to say? Why couldn't she just say that word? And she used to use that one. Why do you have to use the difficult one? It's just that's how I am. I'm a thesaurus. And I think I mentioned it before, but as a child, and children don't do this. Let's talk about weird and kooky that I am. I used to find words and go, how many ways can what other words can mean the same thing? So it was a game for me. So I'd write down a list of the same, all these words that would mean the same thing. And the longer, the better. The more complex, the satisfying it was for me. So yeah.
You see,
Um,
and I thought I was a strange child. I used to sit down and read the thesaurus, so I thought I was a strange child.
See, there you go. See, I think when we love words, we find fun in words. Sometimes I used to yell at people and with complex words, and they wouldn't. What the hell is she saying? But I'm sitting there laughing, calling them certain things, and then not realizing I'm calling them that because it sounds so lovely. So yeah, just. I know.
Stephanie, as my good friend Midnight would say, true fact, true fact. A kid sitting there reading a thesaurus is weird. Like, trust me, there's millions of books there. Reading a damn thesaurus as a child is weird.
Excuse you. As a child, I read the thesaurus. I read Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, Walt Whitman, and the Bible, the King James Version, and Greek mythology. That's what I read as a child.
I love Ulysses. That's what I got into Lord of the Rings. I think it was originally The Hobbit. I think at 10. Yeah, so yeah, it's just I love the more complex. Shakespeare's the same. I think Shakespeare was the reason why I fell in love with poetry. But then it was the Bronte Sisters, Jane Austen. I love that whole period. And that's when my love the Old English. And the romantic writing, but that I can't write. So I can't write love poetry. I've tried, and like I've said to people, I only end up murdering the people that I love. So I don't know why. Something happens to them. They just, PPP said it to me, because why did you do that? We did a collaboration. It was such a beautiful friendship that was love, and they finally wanted to tell each other that they loved each other really deeply, and then he gets shot and she watches him die in front of her, and he was just going, why did you do that? Okay, that's a really good effect, but why did you do that? And I said, I don't know. I didn't want them to tell each other that they loved each other.
Oh, there you go. My goodness, Gemini. Friendly Zooks loved his thesaurus. It was his 11th birthday. Still got it. There you go. My goodness, there are more weirdos than just you then. So there you go. Thesaurus as a child.
It's not weird. It was an interesting and fun thing to do. And being from the Caribbean and leaving, I'm glad I did, because then I left and I came to the United States and I needed those words. So I don't care what you say. I'm not weird. And if I'm weird is good.
I don't think you're weird. I did the same.
I'm talking about a child here reading the thesaurus, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, yeah, that's beautiful. But the thesaurus, anyway, I won't go there.
Just jealous. He's just jealous. He wishes he read the thesaurus.
So the first piece I'm going to read is called Ingenui, and it's it's another word for innocence. So here it goes. Look into the eyes of an abdicated soul, deboned, skinned alive, a shattered limb doll, intravenous venomous shot of stratification, a self-immolation in hedonistic oblation. Watch me through the ghost of anguished faces, restrained by emotional toil in darkened places, a rain of broken glass innocence, manipulation, delving in horrors, hijacked body, sacrifice nation. I screamed into vacuumed corridors of suffering pain, gratified stasis of the cacophony confined insane. Let the lashing of derma impounded abrasions. How do we equal the sanity of regressive equations?
You had me from you had me from the opening line. What was that starting line again? That was so powerful.
Look into the eyes of an abdicated soul.
Oh, yeah, my goodness, yeah. That's was that an early piece? Did you write that reflecting on your younger years?
That was that was a 2022 piece. So that's when 2022 is, I think I found myself like 2021 maybe, sort of midway through, sort of, because 2020 is when I first joined Instagram, so it was around August 2020. Actually, it was April, but I was doing cooking shows, not poetry. And then August was when I started doing the poetry. And about midway through, that's when I started to find me, my real voice. And this is one of those ones where I'm reflecting actually something that happened to me. And that's just the way I've written that actual experience, where it's when I used to see people in a different light, through innocence, and then once that innocence was taken, in the sense of the lies became so evident, that was me just saying that, like, now I know who you really are. But how do I take back all those years that I trusted you, and now that's gone, sort of a thing. Yeah.
That's that is a topic that's very relatable in many ways, right? As they see it globally, I mean, all over, there's constantly, in numerous situations, there's the innocence of kids taken. There's in as adults in relationships, we see that constantly, where somebody from another culture who's come from a more subservient culture, and that innocence is taken advantage of. We see that I see that amongst friends, business associates, or business, see that innocence, that honesty, that total open honesty taken advantage of and taken as a sign of weakness. And then, and that's, you captured the whole feeling of the reality of this, when somebody takes advantage of that innocence in every line there. Every line that you put in there I could sit there and reflect on each line and dissect it in my own mind, what that means, I relate that to events that I've witnessed or that's happened to me. I was probably didn't tolerate it a lot, so being that stronger person. And I know you weren't around in Melbourne in the 70s, the time of the gangs, and we had our share of racism. Thank God, it's a lot of that's behind us now. So I grew up that as hard, but I know how many. I had cousins who refused to go to school because kids used to spit on them because they were dark complexion. Right? So I used to go to the school, grab these kids who were spitting on them, throw them against the fence, and then so my cousins could go to school. They were not, didn't have the strength. So I remember all that, you know. So, but just because they a darker complexion, you know. So yeah, imagine being spat at and not wanting to go to school, right? And then not to mention the innocence taken advantage by through pedophilia and all this sort of stuff, right? It's a subject that's such a powerful subject that's so relevant even today, and it's sad that it's relevant today. You know, where have we advanced? You know, this shit was happening 100 years ago, right?
Yeah. So the betrayal that you're referring to, Angela, that was a betrayal of trust and of authenticity. So they presented
Yeah, it was
themselves.
nothing. Yeah, it was more of an emotional betrayal, friendship betrayal. Like, you know, how do you be? Because one of the things people say is, why do you trust and not, like, I'm the kind, I don't know, I go in with love, with trust, straight from the get-go, from the gate. I don't want to be suspicious about everyone. I mean, we all slightly, there is some suspicion, but I go in with love. But the moment you break that trust, that's it. I cannot go back. And this is where years and years of friendship, and when you find out it was all a lie, I can turn around and be bitter, and I can, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not in the sense, I'm not going to be bitter about it. But it's just me trying to acknowledge and trying to, where did it start? You know, where was it? So you start to think, go back and start to relive all that kind of stuff. And that's the trust. Losing that trust. I once that you've lost trust with me, I can't. So I just move on.
So it's
I
almost
just
like
leave you
trying
behind.
to separate which one is the milk and which one is the water. How far back does it go? And was there anything real there in the first place? I think that is the thing, trying to understand that maybe not all of it was fake, but since you cannot separate what was fake and what was real, then to you nothing is real.
And that's why I let it go. That's why I let it go. I just go, that's it. I can't, because I don't, life is too short and there's so much to do that if they didn't think of me, why am I trying to work out what is real and what isn't? I used to do that, and it used to drive me into a dark depression, and I don't want to be there anymore. So yeah, I just let it go.
One of the key things there is, you're correct. And I'm like that. If somebody has let down my trust, I accept everybody with open trust. But once they let that down, well, they've just almost made a date with Satan, right? But what's key, and it's, some will say that I live in an ideal illusionary world, but it takes strength. What's important is, if somebody lets down my trust, and then the next person comes along, I have already opened them that relationship, carrying over the letdown that I had here into that. That's what I think people. I definitely avoid. I mean, it's certainly, especially in an emotional situation, be wary, right? If I've been scammed here and I go and meet a new person, yes, I've got that in the back of my mind. Okay, remember this incident, but I do trust this person with total trust again, and I give them the opportunity to let that trust down or live up to that trust. That's not try to carry what one person did. We carry our past into our present, right? And that's something that's very key, I think, to avoid. And a lot of people say, man, you're living in an illusionary damn world. But that's the reality of it. Why should the next person start their footing because somebody else failed to live up to a decency in humanity, you know, in human standards?
And that's exactly my point. And my sisters, who I love dearly, can't understand why do you always just like them straight away? And I said, because they haven't given me any reason not to.
Yeah.
The moment they don't, then I move on. I don't hold on to stuff. You guys might hold on to things, I learned to let go a long time ago because, and that doesn't make me heartless. It makes me what's the word I'm trying to think? It's reality. It's reality. Just move on.
Mm.
I want to make space for people who matter, not for those that don't matter. So that's why I
Exactly.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got X amount of our energy and our time. I'd rather donate my time to somebody who's deserving, somebody who appreciates it, somebody who will
Right.
make good use of that time.
Mm,
You know, not just
absolutely.
not and go and
And
do
when you get
exactly
to
what
this
other people.
age, guys, it's like, get out.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm not, I don't have time. I've got limited time and I want to enjoy it. I think when I was younger, I used to stew in it a little bit more and I used to get angry and the anger was what was killing me and I just don't want to be angry
Yeah.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think so, but I was I'm very angry when I was younger. And so I wouldn't take it out a lot on other people. I take it out on myself. So I just don't, I used to do a lot of riding bikes. I used to ride bikes, swim, and swim through my anger and ride my bikes through anger. Surprised I didn't get hit because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just need to get it out.
I
Because I
used
was
to
not
walk.
physically, walk,
Mm.
because physically, I'm not a physical. I don't. People used to look at me. Girls used to look at me. And go, "Oh, she's scary," because there's this anger on my face. But I wouldn't physically hurt anyone. It's just how I am. I dealt with it productively, so through sports.
Speaking of productively, so do you have any poems that showcase expressions of anger? Because I know when I started writing, that's the first thing that came out, and a lot of people, the anger and hurt and depression comes out first before you settle into who you are. So do you have any poems that you had planned on sharing today that showcase that, okay, you better not mess with Angela?
Oh, most of my poetry stuck. Okay, let me just have a look whether it's in this one. So I mentioned earlier about someone. Hang on, let me just quickly have a look because I've got everything documented. No, it's not on this one. Sorry, it's an older one. So this is someone who I thought was a real friend, and I learnt they weren't, because real friends will take in your critique of their behaviour. I find that if you've got a real friend, if my friend came up to me and said this and this and that, I'd listen to this, and I got told where to shove it, and I wasn't nasty about it. So let me just, where is it? I'm trying to find it now. It's going to be very hard. But you know what? Let me have a look and see the ones that I haven't chosen that one, but I can't find it. So I'm going to just look at the ones that I've chosen, and see if it's anywhere in there. That's one. I know. Of course, it's not going to work. It's because I'm looking at the wrong slides. Sorry. But yeah, the one I was talking about, there was a mention. I called him. What did I say? I said to him, called him a peacock.
Oh,
I called him a peacock, and I told him to. I wish something about burning his Dorian Gray painting. Something about him looking in his. That's how ugly he is. Not the painting, but what's behind the curtain. Sort of went in about. Comparing him to Dorian Gray because of his vanity,
oh wow.
and only telling half truths. So would often, and what I later found out was they would say one part of the truth, like it was truth, but they didn't mention the whole truth. The whole truth would have made him look like a villain, but the half truth made them look like a victim.
Mm.
Wow, that's manipulative.
Yeah, so that's the kind of person. They're still around, but I've blocked them, so I don't want nothing to do with them. they're still in the community. People are well aware. I didn't say anything about them. I don't publicly say anything about them. But when you realise you're being used to get to people, because then you realise, hang on, so the friendship was only for me to get to certain people, and then now they don't need me, so they can tell me whatever. There's no real friendship there. That's what it was. I can't find an angry poem. You're more sad than angry. Hang on.
Well, we can do sad if you don't have angry. You can if you find angry before the end, by all means, share it.
Okay, let me just look at this one. There was one in there that I had put. It was the same, but I'll have a look at this one. So not prepared, aren't I?
No, you're not. You're not.
Um,
You know you're not prepared. I kind of threw you off because I'm sure you had something in front of you that you
Yeah, I
share.
did, but that's okay. It was actually it was I talked about love poems, and this was a love poem that I wrote, but it was about it was the sadness of loss, but this one here. All right, we'll do this one. This one's called Embodiment of Mendacity. In the beginning, I willingly imprisoned my soul to regret. My faith was tied up in the security blanket you beget. With those arresting yellow star eyes, I began a budding field of flowers raised in lies, sowing sparse, sanctified seeds of empty promises, slowly silencing voices of whispering catharsis. Mythology warned me not to stay too close to the sun. Each spell etched a rune into battled scars. While blinded to Dante's fire, I watched my flesh while it burnt. So fresh in devastation, your dominance must be relearnt. An anguish pain while peeling layers of epiderma back. The crimson now surrendered in pulse points of bitter black. I was made to believe in your radiant warmth, that your being was not made of a hollow dawn. You praised me enough I could not see all the shipwrecks you'd left behind, that my heart lifeline palpitates towards you in chaos's design. You are made up of swells of murky waves and maelstroms. You shall not drown me in your furor of continuums. Anxiety has unhinged against each rib creaking upon the Babylon of sodomy. I am the wilderness of an inhospitable colony. I dare you to peel back the pages onto the more we trudge. Primitive cravings for soul heralds a breeze of grudge. Rain down sleet for a body encased in water that runs deep. Can you feel the thunder that resides in my heart? Listen carefully to the voice of prophecy as it reaps. That's anger. There you go.
The line "Watch my skin while it burned," and then the Babylon. What was that line? Babylon.
Anxiety has unhinged against each rib creaking upon the Babylon of sodomy. That was me say that you effed me over. Truly,
Yeah,
well
because
and truly.
Babylon was utterly destroyed.
Mm.
That was brilliant. I'm gonna have to start reading my thesaurus again if I'm gonna listen to your poetry and dissect it. I can listen to it, but to listen and dissect it, I'm gonna have to read my thesaurus again. Plus, I miss it anyway.
Mm.
Glad you
I'm
could
definitely
read.
adding a glossary at the end of my book, so definitely. So I'll have the word, broken up in pronunciation, and then the meaning. It won't be. I won't do a lot, but it'll do enough. So when people do come across it, I'll have a little star on that word, and you'll know that that's in the glossary.
So basically, you're teaching people your language, and that's the thing. Shakespeare did it with his sonnets. and the cadence in his sonnets. Everybody knows, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Everybody knows Shakespeare and the cadence. So basically, you're going to be teaching people Angela's song. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think your selection of words that you use too adds a lot of that old world feeling to it, the richness, warmness of some of that old world feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see that, I use these sometimes complex words, but when I do that, I actually encase it in not complex, but like easy to see images, so that people get an understanding of exactly what I've just said. It's not on purpose. I don't, and this is what I want to. I don't purposely, and a lot of people know that I don't purposely put in a word to throw people off. But like before, I'll send people pieces, and they're like, oh no, can I read this? And I've said, no, this is an easy one. They've just looked and they went, no, it's not. Maybe for you, but not, I don't do it on purpose. It's just how I write.
But
No,
you cannot. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's important to use the words that you want to in that poem, not to do from the feeling, the sentiment in the poem. And I think you should keep using what you do what feels right. Like you were going to say,
You cannot dilute your authenticity for anybody.
Hmm.
That is your authentic self. You cannot dilute your authenticity, and maybe it will take some time for them to understand you. But if they're willing to, then they'll never forget you. If they're not willing to, it wasn't meant for them to understand.
But I always said, if you've got a question, DM me. I used to have someone who writes just as exquisite send me DMs, like because she's done, she's gone to uni for writing. It's her major, and so she's just in depth goes to me, explain to me what you're trying to say, because this is just blowing my mind. I know what I think you're saying. I said, first of all, this is what I think I'm writing, but what you think is another really dimension to what I've written, because it'll lead it to everyone's interpretation, you know what I mean? So, and I'm going to put something in the book that says, if you ever reading this book and you're wondering what I'm thinking, just send me a direct message on Instagram and I'll be happy to respond. So.
Yes, but you're not. Go ahead.
No, go on after you.
You're not the first poet to be misunderstood or misinterpreted. Robert Frost, when he wrote down "The Road Not Taken," there was actually either an elementary or middle school child that wrote to Robert Frost to ask him to explain what the sentiment was or what he meant by the road not taken, because it was well known that later that he was a farmer because his wife's family gave him the farmland, but he wanted to be a writer, and he was a writer, but not in the sense that he wanted to be, not full time. So she asked that if the road not taken is about regret, and he responded in a lengthy enough response to where it was actually published later along with her letter. And I think it's beautiful that you allow your audience to reach out to you. And that is what's going to give you that longevity as a writer. You're going to be a whole person, not just kind of like what they imagine you to be.
I'm a really down to earth person. I just find that if you give yourself, if you're publishing, you're going to lend yourself out to, you're actually putting your vulnerability out there. So why not? If someone's got a question, why not? They can reach out to you. I'm just a person writing my words, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, I was going to say something really poo-poo, and I'm going to smack my hand because I was going to say I'm not anything special, but yeah, I know. I'm gonna smack me. It's all right. I've learned to sort of try to be nice to myself, but you know what I mean. Like if people are gonna go out and buy my book or read my book, and they're gonna ask questions, of course I'm gonna respond to them. It just depends. Might not be straight away, but I'll get there. So I'll try my best. You know, it depends how many DMs I get now because I've said that. So all these things.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Oh, wait till you drop those 5 books. You think you're getting DMs now. Anyway.
Oh, dear God, yeah. And I feel terrible because, you know, like I schedule when I read my stuff. I have to. It's when everyone's gone to bed and it's just me. Otherwise I sit there and they'll get lost. So everything I do is scheduled. And if I can't do it that time, I'll move it some other time. But yeah, I generally don't because it's like with anything, it's like tumbleweed.
Yeah, yeah.
It just it collects, but it's still there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
The other thing that I like is your adaptability and the breadth of your genres that you write on, the topics that you write on. I remember reading a collaboration you did with Poonam, Wordplay Muse. I mean, that was astounding. And then you did that psycho thriller type one with Liquid Lizard. You know, that was amazing. You know, like the way you blended in there, the video production of the one with Liquid as well. That was amazing as well. And then you write. Each of your pieces is like unwrapping a gift. You know, you don't know what you're going to get. And that's the beauty of that. I like when I see a post from you, I go, okay, what have we got today, Angela? What am I opening up here? You know, and that's commendable. That's commendable, you know.
yeah. They're few and far between now on Instagram because I've had to sort of give. You know, I still do write quite a bit, but whether I post it or not is
Yeah.
another story. My time just flies.
Honestly, that's what I said. You know, you're ever present before. I don't know how you find the time. I know I used to post about a short piece and a longer piece, sometimes even a third short piece each week. In the last 3-4 months, I've hardly posted because, like today, my whole Saturday is full of lives. Like we do this show, and then I have a couple of hours, depending on the daylight saving, have an hour or two, and then I've got 4 hours of Origin of Thought open mic. So my Saturday's wiped out, right? And my page, look at that. Hasn't been many posts getting there at all. But and I've got half the amount of responsibilities that you have. You know, my son's grown, and I'm not studying. You know, I know recently you were painting a property that you had on the market and getting that.
That's going on the market next week. So, but we're trying to do a few things today. I said, here's a list to my husband. Can you go do that? And we'll go and have a look at it tomorrow. It's one less, and then that'll be one less thing I have to worry about other than the bills at the end. So marketing, all that kind of stuff, it's costs a fortune. So
Now
that's one less thing.
And when your list starts thinning out a bit and you got more time, let me know if ever you want to go. I usually go to quite a few open mics in our area in Brunswick, Fitzroy, Northcote area, and the really great vibes. Pretty much every week I end up at an open mic. Let me know whenever you want to go when you got time.
That's something I really want to include in my week. I want to include an open mic because I haven't done it. I'm always behind a screen, and definitely want to do it. There was that Cherry Poets that I think
that's good. That's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make it to that one because it's on Saturday from 1 till about 4:30 in the afternoon. But I'm on lives. So one of the days I might get somebody like Ragged to take my Original Thought show, and I might just go and attend that once a month or once in 6 weeks.
I can't do it either. Yeah, it's when you and I have got very busy Saturdays when it comes to Instagram. So yeah, I completely understand.
every second Wednesday, there's one in Brunswick at Bar Rusu. It's an African bar. That is a good venue. And the first
Mm.
Wednesday, just in Northcote, there's one. It's a really beautiful venue, good PA system and all that. At Open Studios, that's the first Wednesday of every month. Then there's another one in Fitzroy, the last Tuesday and the first Tuesday in Fitzroy that I'll go to, run by the same. One's called Passionate Tongues and the other one's Poetic Express. They're a really good group as well.
No, I don't. I'll
Yeah,
hit you up on the
yeah,
details,
let me know whenever
definitely.
you've got time on your plate. I think, and I'm trying to connect more with our local poets here because I know more people in the US,
Overseas.
UK, Canada than here. And I'm going, people in Melbourne go, Rainier, who the hell's he, you know? So it's good to go and connect with some of these, our local people, right?
I've been doing it, trying to send pieces of mine to get published in Australian magazines rather than trying to get things because I'm not recognised at all here.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, definitely. I will. It would be a good way to actually catch up too,
yeah,
so we can do an open mic
yeah.
and catch up.
And it's a really good vibe in each of these ones that I go to. Yeah, it's a really good vibe, good people, and good environment, and yeah. So no, it'd be good. Can we go to another piece?
All right, so I was gonna. This is the one I was. This is the. I'll do this one. Control. Yeah. Sorry, trying to find it now. All right, so this is a longer piece, so bear with me. And it's got a difficult word straight up in the heading. It's actually a Swedish. So this, you know me, I'll use all languages because I do French, Spanish, Swedish in this case, Greek, a lot of Greek. I use a lot of Greek and make it very anglicized because that's my background. So easy to do. So and this word is livsjutare, which is one who loves life and loves it to the extreme. Okay.
Mm.
And it's called the irony of livsjutare. Time silently escapes the liminal space of agony that is betwixt our livsjutare irony, disjointed ornaments in the cracked hourglass of reckoning, non-sequential salvation which keeps on beckoning. We are the feral notion of Kronos while he levitates amongst the glittering cosmos. We lay buried in our stilled mythological Grecian tholos. There, only our severed seams echo the voices of stars where we portion our lacerations in a pie graph of scars. And yet our undoing is in the echo of love's silhouettes, enigmatic shadows of lyrical moonlight of regrets, a cabin of constellations where smoke floated in tendrils, excarnating ourselves and scattering our emotional entrails. You, my dark muse, serenade through the phantom lips of wanton widows, evoking me your serpent queen as I writhe in the roots of bleeding willows, bathing in raindrops of hope only to drown in your sea scrolls. Still we are forsaken in the ocean of souls, embellishing the tremors of my heart quenched in sodium chloride tears. We are the forgotten foretelling from the DNA of ancient seers. Gone are the ravenous ravens which violate rainbow reveries. There the jasmine doors open up to the hell of memories, leading to view through metaphorical windows in corrupted ethereal sunrise splendor, our cathartic haze upon our serendipity surrender. But we will never be streams of dreams in peaceful tomorrows, only characters set in the scriptures of unconsecrated hollows. Our quivering lips now sewn shut and chained in fear that we have become the rotting corpse of yesteryear. This mournful lament burdens a lackluster crush, evoking a breathless crush, a continuing to sift through the sands of time, illuminating what is already written in the heavens, that you would never truly mine.
Wow. So many lines. Couple that grabbed me. Paragraph of scars. I've never heard that. And that's, yeah, it's almost like you're segmenting your scars there in a paragraph, right? That's powerful. And the other
Yeah.
one that me was evoking me, your serpent queen. Holy hell. And there was another one there about ravenous ravens, and I lost the rest of it. But yeah,
You remember more than I did because I was trying to hold on to the bleeding whipping willows.
yeah,
Was it the bleeding whipping willows?
Let me just get there. So,
The one that I got.
yes, yes. Evoking me, your serpent queen, as I writhe in the roots of bleeding
yeah,
willows.
yeah. I mean,
And then
yeah.
the
No,
feral version.
Kiki, no, it's not in the book. I'm thinking of actually adding it.
So I can't imagine what a feral version of Kronos looks like. Like feral, when you think of a cat, feral, untouchable, just not
Mhm.
wanting to interact, no connection to human. That imagery, the levitating feral version of Kronos, just
Yeah.
I was, because time is so ordered. Yeah, time is ordered. Like that's how that time is. Imagine it where you go 1 minute it's 2 hours and the next minute it's back, like you're going back and forth. But to me that's like, so you never really, there's no order in anything.
Mm.
And that's what that was what it meant by the feral Kronos.
oh wow.
Things just happen and you're going back and forth, and not letting go as well.
Yeah.
So you're
That,
always looking to the past instead of going forward.
And that's the thing
I
about
think that piece
Kronos.
should.
Mhm.
Sorry, go.
No, I was saying that what I thought of when I heard the feral version of Kronos, I thought of automatically the superheroes. How Kronos
Uh,
he could shift time. He could remove
mm,
you from a time, and then once he got was it the gauntlet? Once he received the rings, he could destroy.
yeah, I know you. Yeah,
And thinking of like a feral version of him, I mean, how much more ruthless and heartless can he get? If you make him feral, then
there is no reason behind his, So if if so, if that to me means he's not feral because there's reason behind it. There is reason why he's doing what he's doing. Now, if he becomes feral, he doesn't care. There's no reason. He just wants to do it. Other than, you know what I mean? Like there is no there's no ending. Like whether it's heartless to us, there's no reason behind it. And that's what sometimes things happen in life. Because there's no reason and no rhyme or reason behind it. That's what's hard to to grasp.
Mm.
When there is a reason behind something, then you go, okay, that happened. Whether that's good or not, there's a reason behind it.
you can
And sometimes it's just like
rationalize.
with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rationalize when there's a reason behind,
Mm,
and you can put it in a place.
mm,
Then from that place you can choose how much time you can devote to healing from that thing. But when there's
mm.
no rationale behind it, there's no place for it. So it's an open wound.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, dang.
That, Angela, I think that's one of those pieces. It had so many powerful lines that it's easy to. You'd have to reread it so many times, and each time you read
Mm,
it, you grasp a lot. As Gemini said, I latched onto the evoking me, your serpent queen, and through that, I was still on that. I missed the next line about the willows that Gemini picked up on, and then just now when she inquired on that, and you read the two of them together, it was even so much more enriching, right? The other thing it's good and I think you should hang on to your unique style of writing. Like most of us will talk, write a line, those salt tears. Not you, those sodium chloride tears, right? That's you. That's your uniqueness. You know what I mean? Like most of us would say, "Oh, the salty tears ran down my face," or something. You know, tears of sodium chloride ran down my face. That's the difference between you and somebody else, right? The commonality.
It's all the years of science and maths that I actually use a lot of that in my writing, because I thought, well, I know it's all the biological stuff that I did use because I massage. My therapist. One of my many things that I can do. Because I've just got my hand in lots of. You just go, what else do you do? All this stuff. So I have my own business as my therapist, and I also full-time do finance work. So a lot of what I know, I do put in my writing. And I write things uniquely because I want people to know, oh, that's Angela. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be lost. As much as I've always wanted to be in the background for everything, I don't want to be lost in words. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be, that's uniquely her.
Well,
So, yeah.
if that piece is not going in the book, then please DM me that piece, because I'd really love to read that. Yeah, more than once.
No, I think my editor just went, wink, wink, you need to put it in the book. So, yeah, because I still need it. Like, I've still got about 5 pages, so that can pretty much be it. Yeah, because it's a minimum of 110 pages for a really decent spine in a book, and I don't want to go too big. So that's what it. Yeah, so that would definitely be in it. So
Nice.
I'm hungry for more now after that one.
okay.
No.
So what?
I always
else?
have been hungry to hear your poetry. And that's the other thing too, like as a host, I don't normally, even on the original thought, but I don't recite my own work. So, and you are hosting constantly, so we don't hear much of your work. I only see your work when you do a post. So this is an absolute joy to sit here, listen to non-stop Angela poetry.
Yes. So this is an older piece. So it seems long because I've done massive big writing, but I think it's about less than what the last one was. No, it's back in the day when I used to write long pieces. This is one of them. So this is called Convicted Profusion. I wrote this in 22. Conviction, grasp at opportunities laden in veiled ineptitude. Does it mean that we have invested in the multitude constituents of attitude, compounded intersections of unearthly wailing souls of cessation's personality, an acrostic ensanguination of multi-layered miscreation of reality? Outstreams the history of horror from the void of infinite portals of antipathies, destined lines escaping the orientation of violated familiar probabilities. I cannot see my way forward as the compass spins the confusion while everything is bathed in nothing but a validated illusion. I am a shape-shifting humanoid of loathing, self-deprecation, holding others in the luminescent light afar from my own salvation. That the tude is no longer in tune, just scattered keys while running on fumes, persistent to rise above it all instead of settling in tribulated ancestral tombs. In my lineage, I'm the product of progenitress power emitted through time. They act like my mother's flesh was free, but she was the epitome of celestial divine, soaking in her ethereal desalination soul rendered on the forefront of belief, while sea salt crashes in the interstice of grief. How does one return to the surface to breathe again through pain, refrain from the drowning of an endless night to learn to live again? While I am preserving my existence in a desert of damnable dunes, a curly grain texture scraping against my skin, exfoliating runes. I am a genome composition of tectonic heartbreak, in manifolded sands, was trying to live amongst a land of corruption and underhanded hands, a field of lightning strikes and glistening glass sculptures of a simulacrum of hues, that I am a product of my genealogy, my feminine hereditary, my somatic muse.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah. I was going, what was this about? I was thinking to myself, what are we? Oh, yeah, no, I know what it is. So it's okay. Go ahead.
So, first of all, I am a genome composition. That line, love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I am a genome composition of tectonic heartbreak in manifolded sands.
I don't want to scream on here. I love that. Earth science was a portion of my favorite thing because I could understand the chemistry of in earth science, and I could understand physics. Those two subjects by themselves I wasn't very fond of once the math got added. But acrostic sanguination, please, by all means, layman terms for me.
Okay, so this whole piece is actually a Mosaic Monday. Yes, it was a Mosaic Monday. Probably not the whole thing, but then I added and edited. And it was around the time where it was the whole feminist. So it was, I think there was something going on politically about women, and it was during, I wouldn't be surprised it was at the time where Al Qaeda was, so America was leaving Afghanistan, and then the women were now about to go back to a really horrible regime. And so there was that whole, and that's what I was writing. So that was my grasp on the whole thing. An acrostic of so acrostic, we all know what acrostic poem is.
I don't.
And so, sorry?
I don't. If I do, I don't. I don't put the definition with the word. So explain to me for others like
acrostic is, so you say, we'll say Stephanie, and we put Stephanie down the side, but we make every first the word will start with, it's a S-T-E, so it will start. So you write, but you can see your name coming, going all the way down, and that's an acrostic poem. And that's what I meant by, the spine, the column of my back, me as a human being. So I'm using the acrostic as like the human spine. That it's like I'm being bled out. So my life is being bled out, and that's the whole portion. That's what I meant by that. So an acrostic examination of multi-layered misprint of reality. So that, so reality, this is what it's happening, and it's beyond our control. So that's what that. So I just did a big essay for that one line. I really think carefully when I write things, and I might in one line, I might put in one line, but it means a lot. But I know that piece is about us, women, and that, why we're the first to be sacrificed. But anyway, so
that was beautiful, very well written.
Yeah.
There was a line about the simulacrum. I didn't catch the rest of that. I can't remember the exact wording on that. What was that line? That
trying to find what you're talking about. God, because it's such a character.
the simulacrum of something it went on.
No,
Like an answer.
can't find. A field of lightning strikes and glistening glass, sculptures of a simulacrum of hues.
Yeah. Those two lines. So much said in that, isn't it? Yeah. And it is sad. It's a
Thank you.
powerful topic. It is sad that the feminine gender has always been persecuted for historically, and although we've moved forward, it still happens shitloads today, particularly in the
And
lost
it's,
community.
it's about, that emotional, because we're such an emotionally strong, and we give birth to humanity. And so if someone wants to destroy a culture and humanity, and often are the bearers of story and its culture and stuff, that's where we go. That's where you hit first, because the men will drift without the heart. So that's how
Okay,
it is.
that's a poem. The men will drift without their heart.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
definitely, Angela, your style is unique, but I think you definitely should stick to that, because it is you, and is appealing. Even if you got to pick up a dictionary or thesaurus next to you, or well, Google does wonderful today while reading it.
Yeah.
It is you, and and sometimes you can say so much by using one word. You can replace. Uh, so much in it, like by just using a word like the one that grabbed me, the simulacrum, instead of saying in unsatisfactory imitation. Well, you've just made one word into three words into one, then that's economizing your words. But yes, the reader has to sit there and dig up the old grey cells in the brain, grey matter, and or sit there with Google on hand. But still, it's a way of bringing it through, right? And then once you understand the meanings of the words and you read it again, then the power of that poetry just unwraps, it explodes into you, right? So
Thank you. Yeah. I love it when I read something and I learn something from it. It's not just
yeah,
about going through the motions of reading words, but
yeah,
it's an experience, and that's what I try to put in my pieces. Um, is the whole package. And I know I'm not for everyone, but I'm for some, and that's all that matters. And I'm for me, so I write the way I want to write. For a long time, I still am. Sometimes I catch myself, and I have to, remind myself I'm naturally a people pleaser, and that's, I think, what's taken me so long to do something about the writing. So I get that, and now I'm just like, no, this is what I want to do. And those who want to come along, they can come along, and those that don't, there are plenty of poets out there that they can absorb. You guys, for instance, oh my goodness, and there's that special gentleman in there as well, a deep thought lyricist, Insenio, who's an incredible writer.
yeah.
And if you haven't purchased his book, please go onto his page and purchase him. You too. Now you're next.
I've got Arsenio's book here, and yes, and
Oh,
in his poetry, he shares so much value, but also he does so much within the community and things like that. And
yeah.
going back to featuring a poet each week, and last week I was
It's next week,
fortunate.
isn't it? Was it last week? Was it next week?
Last week he did a poet Khan,
Yeah.
and that was a touching story, and that was really nice to hear her work. And he does so much for people, and and he's always there off the scene as well for people. So I believe so. But that brings me to your one something about you, and that's your authenticity, Angela. Like, as I said, you're there on so many platforms supporting anybody and everybody, and I think it's good that you're hanging on to your authenticity in your writing, and your authenticity in your actions even is evident. Like, I know recently you went for a holiday with your husband and child to Hawaii, and that was your holiday, but you still invested a lot of time and money to take 3 or 4 days out of your holiday with your family to make it to New York to be able to connect with Sky and as many people as you could.
Oh, yeah.
That shows your authenticity and your genuineness, the authenticity of your connections, right? I mean, I know you do the lives and all with Sky for a while, but meeting up with Robert and all these others, and I know it, but strangely, Gemini, us coming to Hawaii as opposed to going to New York, that almost doubles the cost and doubles the time of flight. It's crazy enough, like that. Bloody so much. I know when I was flying over a year and a half ago, on your little flight map, I've seen Hawaii, and I go, oh, thank God, I can go and stretch my legs soon. Bloody hell, that I was only halfway there. I still had a long way to go, right?
Mm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I was getting excited. I thought, oh, good, I'll be able to jump off this damn cage soon, because I'm a free bird. It's been sitting in a plane for 26 hours is not my load of fun, right?
Yeah.
But when
No.
I saw Hawaii, I thought, great.
I know.
26.
Well, so flying, because we flew into Oahu, which is Honolulu's the capital,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there we went to the Big Island. So that was another, but we had to wait 3 hours and then go off over to the Big Island. Because we stayed at Kona, which is beautiful. It's less traffic, more volcano and it's rainforests, but I'm happy with that. Maui is small and lots and very busy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go somewhere where I knew that I was going to spend that my family were the main attention and not anything else.
Mm-mm.
And like I said, I did fly over to New York, but that was an excuse for me to go to New York and see a Broadway musical as well. And my husband said, you know what, we're going to stick around here. We can't bothered. So we flew. So I flew over, and I met some incredible women and a beautiful man who I've always wanted to catch up with, and that was Robert Cosy Oliver. I got to see Barbara. I got to meet Barbara. I got to meet Sue-Ann, the new music palette, and the beautiful Sky. And Sue-Ann brought her daughter Christina along, which was wonderful to see. And we landed and we went to the gay Mardi Gras that day, and we had lots of fun. And also, was it actually the next day? It was my gay Mardi Gras, and there was and then we went and saw Moulin Rouge, and let me not tell you why I didn't see most of that. It was a Vegas moment, and I'll always, Sky's the biggest troublemaker. And then I flew back Monday, off back to my family. Didn't arrive until Tuesday, I think.
Wow.
So it was 36 hour there and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36 hours of stay. So the amount of time that I stayed in New York, it took me to get there, and I wouldn't do it any other way other than spending more time. But I wanted to go back to my family and spend, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, Asinia, she's a very naughty girl. It was a very Vegas moment. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Just put it this way, I missed out. Yeah, I missed out a lot because I was on a particular high.
Yeah. No,
Someone gave me said, "This is a lolly. This is just a tube."
but that does show so much about how real your connections are, right? You mentioned a couple of names. So next week we actually have Arsenio on the show, and then 2 weeks later we got Robert on the show as well. On the 15th, we got Robert as well. So
such a beautiful man. Yeah, such a beautiful man. Yeah.
Yeah. But that authenticity of yours, that's so relevant. 4 days, as you said, to spend more time commuting than the actual spend with the people. That's the value you place on connections. And I can see why you feel very let down, and rightly, you would let down when that trust is violated. So because when you care,
I don't know about you, but I am who I am. I will never be anything than who I am. I don't, there are, I'm not so open to straight away to people. People think they know me, but they don't. But to those that I will make connections with, I am who I am. I will never be ashamed of to be who I am. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And you and
So,
you, and you never should. You know, you never should.
yeah.
I think the
No,
audience are waiting for more of your
okay.
richness
So I
of
can chat
your poetry.
all day. That's me. All right. So one of the main reasons. All right. So there's been a lot of positive, and there's some bumps in the road. Being on Instagram and being and meeting people. One of the saddest days for me is almost coming up to 2 years is losing a dear friend on Instagram. And recently I was part of the 1111 project, which the Amazing Alchemist Poetry put together, and there was 111 poets who spent 11 minutes talking about suicide prevention. And I read this poem, and I will never publish it. It's very personal. I did publish it once on Instagram, and then I took it down. I just wanted to bring this attention because you just don't know who's going to affect you, and how real people are. So be kind, and that's why I always try to be respectful of people's writing, because you don't know where they're coming from. So this was to my dear friend Ash, and this is the piece I wrote, and this is called Licentious Penance. I awoke to the flash of words and a scream. Or was it the suffering of universal screams? No. Stop. I beg of you. Then I heard the astral travelled sobs, and I cannot sleep, because all I can see is you crying in the darkness, and I am hermetically blindfolded, barely facing each day, numbed and uncross restrained, crushed with tribulation from what you will never know. You deserve to be held in reverence eternally. That there is only mournful cries in place of the smile I sought to see. Now I can never tell you I'm sorry. You've grown your wings, and another angel has left this mortal coil with unfinished story. Let me cradle you in sentiment, mythically spellbound in cosmic element. No more notes of joy, no more northern star, just the sound of drowning from the liminal space of a ruptured heart. Unfettered regrets cloaked in the hollow guilt, wrapped in asphyxiation under a stitched suffering quilt. Dormant chance of truncated potential, my confidant in the shadow of quintessential. I am trying to recompense in the peace of your choice, but I will never. All I can do is hold you in your transcendent voice. Shh. If only I could. If only it were possible. If such a bitter conjunction.
Mm.
Mm.
It's so heartfelt. It's a beautiful
And
tribute.
that's I wanted to bring out to say, suicide is not a selfish thing. It's that's the only choice they feel that they have. And for a long time, I was trying to understand, because we had a fight, and we never got to. We weren't speaking for a little bit, and I never got to chance to sort of, because he was going through some very personal stuff. I never got a chance to make up, and that was that whole, never got a chance to say sorry, all that kind of stuff. But I know he knows. I know deep inside. I know he knows. He stepped over the line. I told him that was the case, and but it wasn't. It didn't come from It wasn't a bad person. I think people assume, because I'm so, I can be very playful and stuff, that there's that can do things. And I think culturally, it was a very cultural misunderstanding. Anyway, so, and, the whole thing about words was, another friend was saying, have you heard from them? And I said, no, I haven't, because we haven't been talking. I didn't realise there was something going on. Because even though we weren't talking, I would still get a little message saying, I hope your Thursday's terrific, like you'll rhyme the word, the day with the word. And so I used to get those and they stopped. And it was my little thing of saying, don't sit in the if only, if this, if that. You need to just, if there's something that needs to be said, do it there and then, because you don't want to live in the if. It took a long time. It took me 6 months to write that because I couldn't deal. I wasn't dealing with my emotions. And my husband was you need to write something, otherwise you're going to drown. And so they'll write that piece for him. So
I think that, and this is the great thing. So you could have posted that poem and you read it, and yes, it's beautiful. But on this, hearing the fact that you had a disagreement too, and then you still wrote such an enriched piece about a friend, although you weren't talking, that really showcases the depth of you as a person and the genuineness of you as a person and your friendships. So, this is what I like about this show, being able to get to know the authors and about the pieces, because like the very fact that there has been a bit of a void between the two of you as a friend, and yet still did not fail to acknowledge what that person meant to you. Aside from that takes a big person to do. And the very fact of suicide was quite tender to me this week, because a couple of weeks ago we didn't have the show, and that's because I was heading up to Port Fairy for a golf tournament. And the last time, August last year, I was supposed to meet a friend there when he took his life 4 days before we were meant to be in Port Fairy. So me going back to that golf tournament 2 weeks ago to Port Fairy, the three and a quarter hour drive there, this was playing through my mind. I could feel it, and I was driving by myself as well. So my mind was just 3.25 hours of living history. So then hearing that piece, but that really shows, again, how true a person, how true a friend, how in depth your connections are, And in the world, I can go out and meet 100 people, guarantee 70 of those people, it's just a shallow association, and then you meet people with the depth of and value, who places so much value on connections. It's absolutely a pleasure to know you, Angela. It really is, or even if it's online, although we live 20 minutes apart, we haven't met in person, but it really, really is a pleasure to know you. It really is. See, you got people like Arsenio even there, who lives up in Wisconsin, saying next time you're in the US to let him know, because he too was looking forward to meeting you. So there you go, so there's a lot of people that really value you.
There's a plan in chase, and I keep on saying it. I'll see how things go, but we're looking maybe at a New Orleans catch-up pulp festival.
Nice.
Everyone wants somewhere warm, and but you know what? I've never been to New Orleans. I was thinking Hawaii again, but then after being there, it's too expensive. So I'll go in New Orleans. But no, I just want somewhere. I think we need to. There needs to be some legit of. I will legit tackle you. You fucking bowled me over, senior. But I really, I'm a hugger, so I just, I'm like, I'm straight away. People are like, oh my god, no, she's a hugger.
Okay, my Aussie hugger from Coburg, meet the hugger from Tampa, Florida. My goodness, I want to see what happens when you two meet. It'll be just one big bear hug each.
Oh, me and Sky would hugged and we just jumped up and down on the spot. And then Sue came in, and the three of us in the middle of New York, jumping up and down. So because they didn't even let me get into the hotel, like they were just all because we were staying at the same hotel. So because Sky's from Massachusetts, from Cape, what's it called? Cape
Cod.
up near Cape Cod.
Okay.
And Sue's from upper New York state, so we all sort of stayed in the same hotel. And they saw me, they ran out of the hotel, still with the suitcases, and then they just hugged me, and everything got dropped. Too bad if someone ran off with them. Everything got dropped, and they were just jumping up and down. Yeah, they were a bit crazy.
I remember
Oh,
seeing the videos that you guys posted. Oh, yeah, it was awesome
Oh,
to watch, and it's hilarious.
oh,
And Barbara
yeah,
Sonia
no.
was there too, wasn't she? She caught up as well, right? Yeah, yeah.
No, she got lost, the poor thing, because she was they had to try and get around the gay Mardi Gras because they had locked up everything. So she was trying to find a way around to try and get through the blockade.
mhm.
Yeah.
And it took a long time, but she finally got there. Yeah, so it was nice to see her. She's looking after herself at the moment. We're sending lots of prayers and hugs as well. Yeah, because she's been missing off Instagram, but she's been looked after. So, yeah.
I know LG's been missing her on their Thursday Glass of Mead show as well, and it's funny not seeing Barbara
Bravo.
there. It was part
Yeah,
of
no.
the it was, it's like that session you do with poetry on Poetry Support BT as well with your co-host. That too has just been a long-term bond, you and Julie, hasn't it? So Jules.
Yeah, and I will stand up for her. She's been bullied quite a bit in the past, and it's part of the reason why I'm no longer friends with the other person, because I sort of pointed that out. And I was told to mind my own effing business, and I said, well, that's really hard to do when you're actually broadcasting it on a live. So if you want to be public, I'll be public as well.
Wow.
And so, you don't sit there saying shit about people when they're not there to defend themselves. I will defend them. I don't care what you think of me. That's my attitude. And you're lucky that the shit that you did to her didn't get broadcasted, because you're a piece of shit. That's my point of view, was what I said to them. Because Jules is just a lady. She won't say stuff about people. She won't belittle herself and say the awful things that other people would say. She's mentioned things to me because I needed to be aware, because she heard what had happened, and she goes, I'm thankful, this is why. And I know that one of persons has confirmed it, and that person's very close to that piece of shit that I don't speak to anymore. And so it's all true. We effed up. So
Well,
simple as that.
I find it so hard to understand why anybody would want to be cruel to Jules anyway, because she's always polite, always sweet, and her poetry is great, and she's so accommodating on the platform. Even when
Yeah, sweet.
while I'm working, I listen to you guys quite often, and I'm listening to it's just, there's people are just, as you said, there's always that small percentage, right? And yeah.
The word narcissism gets thrown around a lot, but I think he definitely suffers from narcissism, because it's all about, so he'll come in, groom you, be really nice, take what you have, take someone away from you, and just leave you, like in a mess. And we can talk. I don't want to give him any more air.
Yeah. I just generally find people like that are just generally projecting their own insecurities, their own voids, their own gaps
It's
that
pretty
they miss.
transparent now. I think about everything that happened. It's pretty transparent, the kind of person they are. So
I feel,
anyway,
I feel good that I don't know who you're talking about.
oh,
So,
you don't want that's why I do not say the name. You know what? I do not say the name because it's poison.
oh, like
Yeah.
Voldemort. Whenever I don't want to talk about someone, I call them Voldemort. Who you talking about? No, we don't talk about Voldemort. We don't.
Yeah,
We don't talk
Yeah.
about
the
Voldemort.
man. Yeah, we shall not speak his name.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad.
No,
Exactly.
I
I'm
don't think I've met this person.
I'm glad
So,
I don't know the name either, and I
You'd be
don't want to know the name
surprised.
because I'm driven by justice and I'm known to go and hunt people down. So I'm glad I don't, because for me to either stalk them and just find them be at their front door is not beyond
thank
reason.
you.
So I'm glad I don't know who it is. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah. Look, some it's just the way it is. Unfortunately, with any artistic or creative space, you'll get the self
mm,
loving person, and everyone else is
mm,
not as good at
mm,
these needs,
mm.
and they're not supportive. They're more of a what I call emotional vampires.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
did you take the words right out of the edge of my mind and right in the back of my throat? I was about to,
Uh,
Yeah,
you
they're
know.
emotional vampires, and that's how they come up with the poetry. They take other people's pain and they use it.
Oh,
And 9 out of 10 times they've got nothing like it, because they've got no.
they
Um,
have no soul.
that's it's correct. So we just see you later. I block, and that's the beauty about Instagram. Block or restrict. Block or restrict. That's what I do. Block or restrict.
mm,
The restrict is I don't want them to know that I block them, but I don't see none of their stuff. And block is when it's like, nah, it's gone past that point.
mm,
Yep.
mm.
Hmm.
So what's next for Angela?
So the lucky, you said six.
No, no.
So this is the sixth one.
I mean, what I meant was,
Oh,
what's next in? So now you've got your book coming.
so that's
You've got
it.
some studies happening.
That's what it is. That's what is happening. So I'm concentrating on right now. I wanted to, it started off, I needed it done by June, and now it's coming to the end of the year. That's not likely. Um, I'm hoping at least for February
Yeah. Yeah.
publication. February, I think, is a good one. It will be just in time for people to take on their holiday with them when they have their summer break. Was it February, March, April? Yeah, around there. Anyway, yeah, February for me, just
Yeah.
before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So you've got the 5 books planned in the roughly about 6 months apart, and you're
Yeah,
studying at the moment as
yeah.
well in terms of your
But,
businesses.
and you'll notice that I've actually started to archive things, because that's what I'm doing. Keeping it within the 1 year. Anything under, I've just archived, because they're going to be part of books, and I'm also creating. There's also another project which I've been very silent about, and I'm publishing another book with 2 other co-authors. So it's not an anthology; it's the 3 of us with the try of try. So we've all got put 10 individual poems. And then I've collabed with both of them, and then we've done a 3-way. So 10, 10, 10. So it's like 10, 10. It's all 10 poems, the collaborations and the individuals, and then 10 try collaborations.
So are we privileged to know who the other 2 authors are, or is that a secret?
I've done a lot of pieces with them. So if you get who it is, they've collabed with. But I'm going to keep it up in the wraps, because it's now going to, we're almost like coming to the end of the ones we've got to do. And then once it starts editing, maybe then will be a little bit more. But yeah, that's another one that's been, so I've not only just been doing mine, but I've also been doing that book, and hoping to publish a book with my son next year too.
Aw, beautiful.
That's
So his idea, but I'm helping him flesh it out. In my poetry book, I've got him doing my chapter images. So he's a really good illustrator.
yeah.
So I'm getting him to do the images for the chapters. So
Awesome.
nothing,
Awesome.
yeah, nothing extravagant. Just black and white's fine with me. I said to him, just come up with something
Yeah.
that inspires you.
Yeah. That is amazing. Oh, that just adds another dimension to it. Yeah, it really does. Yeah. How old is your young bloke?
12.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just finishing up. He's graduating from primary school this year, and he's off to high school next year. But both his dad and I are both avid. We write. He writes. My husband writes lyrics for music. Also makes music. This is a very scientific job that he does. But that's his music is his outlet. And I write as well. So it's in the genes. I think it's going to be writing. He said he wants to be a director for horror movies.
Well, so does your husband play in any live gigs locally?
Yeah, he has. In October, he played 2 live gigs, one at the Tote and one somewhere else. So the Tote wasn't too good, but the other one they really enjoyed. So yeah.
Well,
but
let me know when he's next playing in a live gig, because I love going to live gigs. I go to live gigs all the time. So let me know when he's next playing.
Yeah, most of his popular music is actually on his studio. There's more recognition for a lot of his studio work he does. He does sort of like industrial death metal band with his mate. It's just they're just them two. Yeah. It's all computer and everything like that, and they've got a lot of recognition in Europe wise for that stuff. Yeah.
Well, your son's definitely got it coming from both sides, hasn't he? Yeah.
The artistic. Yeah.
Congratulations to him. Congratulations both your boys, both your son and your husband.
Yeah, the loves of my life. Very grateful. We celebrated our 16-year wedding anniversary last Friday. But we've been together for 25 years, so
that's
they say you get less for murder. Well, we've got a really good sense of humour. Both of us there's a sarcasm and sense of humour that I think really pushes us through. Yeah. He's a big believer, there's ways around things. He's, loves his mum and dad, but his dad wasn't a real good role model when it came to relationships. Still isn't. He's a good man. He's an artist in his heart. And so his appetite, and he gets bored very easily. So so my husband's all about, that's what he wants. When he found me, he said, I just want a woman for long term. I'm not about skipping. I want someone that, when I fall in love with heart and deeply. And so, life isn't perfect, and we all have our ups and downs, but we get through it through sense of humour. We do. Even though sometimes one thing that gets me, it keeps me, look, he keeps me on my toes, because he was such a sweet man when I met him, and he just gets grumpier as he gets older.
Well, the Gottman.
It's actually gone the opposite. Like, we've changed. So I've become more softer as I've gotten older, because I was I have got a very masculine, dominant, aura about me. And he was more happy to please, all that kind of stuff. And so now it's coming the other way around. How life changes as you get older.
But like the Gottman Institute, Dr. Gottman and his wife, both of them they have PhDs. They do family counsel, couples counseling. They have the love lab. For over 25 years, they studied marriage, and they're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But one of the great predictions on whether or not a marriage will last is humor. If you have a sense of humor, and both of if you can laugh about something, that predicts that your marriage is going to last. So congratulations, and I
Thank you.
hope that you have 32 more years of blissful, uninterrupted.
32. That's pretty specific, yeah.
Well,
We've got a,
it's going to be 3 times the marriage that you have now. So it's 16 times 3, 32. Well, 16 times 2. You already lived the first 16 out.
Yeah.
we've got another Aussie who joined the room, Christine Filippuzzi. Now she lives around Dalesford area or somewhere around there,
Right.
Trentham, that sort of
Yeah.
place too. I followed her work a bit. So growing up in Melbourne, I grew up with a lot of Italians and Greek sort of friends, and man, most of my Greek friends, their mums run a pretty tight hold. Their husbands they were heroes outside, but at home they were timid, they were scared. You know, have mama run the Greek mum run the household. I tell you what, no one crossed the line there.
You remember my big fat Greek wedding when this year goes, he might be the head of the household on the neck. I make the head move.
My son is learning that now because his partner, he lives at a Doreen. His partner is of Greek background, and he's learning that she's a pocket rocket. She's short, but man, yep. My son just looks at me like I went to his place for dinner last night and listened to some of the things, and all across the dinner table, I kept getting my son just looking at me and going, rolling his eyes. I said, "Well, you're making your bed, lay in it, fella. The father ain't helping you out here." Yeah, so.
And it is, you know, a lot of people think that we're arguing, but actually having deep
Yeah.
conversations in the Greek household. Yeah. Yeah, it makes me laugh. One of my old bosses used to call me Mrs. Savas. And I went, why are you calling me Mrs. Savas? He said, because you always bring the sweets because I will always bring all these sweets. And I said, who's this Mrs. Savas? Is my neighbour when we were boys. His dad was Irish, mum was Lebanese. So, because of the Catholic, and he grew up in Sydney, which is another New South Wales. So, which is another state, Steph. So, and Mrs. Savas will sort of go over the fence and go, here, boys, here's some cakes. And so she'd
Yeah.
hand them these cakes, and they'd love it for years and we're all growing up. And he goes, my wife's trying to keep me trim and you're bringing cakes all the time. And I said, Robin won't mind because I worked with his wife. And he goes, but anyway, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, we've gone for a couple of hours, so
Oh, sorry.
let's hear another piece from you, and then we'll close it out. That'll take us a bit longer. So thank you to everybody in the room. Angela, you've had a lot of love in the comments and all that. You know, you are very loved and appreciated, and in the community, and rightly so, because you do so much for everybody. And I know when we connected like 15 months ago, you were straight up, you off the bat, although we didn't even know each other, you were straight off there supporting me as well, you know, like, and that's who you are, and don't stop being who you are.
I wish I could do more. Wish I could do more, but yeah, just time. These days, I don't know if it's you, but I hardly used to sleep. Now, as I get older, I want to sleep more, and I perish when I don't get my sleep. But yeah, okay. So you want me to read the last one I have is called Sodden Savagery, and this is a 2023 piece. You can tell I was not. Again, some of my best pieces are from Mosaic Monday. Yeah, they just stretch you, and this is one of those pieces. Here we go. I am a golem made of bloomed sage clay. Through your hands I was moulded to tree. The learnt ghost gums of stumbled history. My mind is a kiln-laboured labyrinth in the world's cryptic mystery. From within a lost land in an aching echo sound, each crevice lay a remnant from the plasma of ancestry. Their story sows seeds to flower upon a titan's ground. But how do I believe in the lying words of our victory? So I begin to swallow the mud which is my inner turmoil. while I project my artistry of grief-drenched dirt. My pain is tethered into my poisoned, putrid soil. Watch my garden of Eden begotten into a desert of hurt. I do not need to ink you in my sin, for I am the depth of my scars. Their tumultuous storms like therein, my calculated meteor field of fallen stars. I will rise, I will raise my soul in forgiveness, otherwise the sludge will bury me, and in the darkness I choose to release I choose to release the shine in my fluorescence. Watch my mud not stick, but flow down into the bowels of clemency's sink.
That last line. Watch my mud not stick, but flow down into the bowels of clemency sink. But the one that I got was, I am the depth of my scar.
Yeah, same here. I got stuck on that one, yeah. But that ending, you're right. It was a beautiful way to wrap that piece up, Angela. Honestly, like with most poets reciting, especially on Instagram lives or even live readings, you miss so much. But in your case, particularly so, because there is so much in each line that, yeah, you're one of those poets that you've got to read. So you've got to get these books out, right? Because definitely hearing you, it's beautiful, it's heartwarming and takes you. But as listeners, we lose so much, you know. So because you're by using certain words, you do maximize the space in words, the consumption of words, and but there's so much in a word, let alone a line. And that classic one before was a classic where I caught on to the one about the raven, and then I missed the next line, which Gemini picked up on, and when you put those together they formed a beautiful marriage as well. You know, the two lines. So yeah, and Stephanie, I didn't mention this to you, but Angela's actually got an assessment due this weekend as well. So Angela, I really heartfelt thanks to making a couple hours right to come on the show and be here with us. Really appreciate that, knowing you've got a lot of
I've always got a lot on my plate, so I just have to make it work. The assessment's pretty straightforward. I've done about 3/4 of it anyway. So it's 4 questions, 500 words for each question. And it's about leadership and management and different types of levels of it. And then I need to put the theory, and that's where I'm at too, just putting the theory into practice. So leadership and management is really easy for me. I don't know why. People go, but I can write about it so easily. And plus, he's a really good lecturer that I've got. But he told me to stop putting fluff words, which is the art. I can't say I'm a poet. I can't not comfortable with fluff words. Because he's an ex-English teacher, so he knows when I'm just trying to fill up a space. So, yeah, that's all good. All good.
That's good and bad, because he can read you, but he can appreciate it, even though he can read you. I have a research paper that's due on the 4th of December. It's APA style. And I've been trying to research for this research paper, and my brain just goes into I can't think. But what I was going to say about your poetry, I think that a lot of times, and even in conversations, when one person is talking, you are dissecting what they're saying, consuming it to respond. People who don't listen, they don't even let it stick. They let it pass by. It's like one ship going this way, and they're ready to come back the other way. But with your poetry, and with Deep's poetry, and with Zeux's poetry, we have no choice but to listen. There's no time to fully dissect it, because another main course is coming. I don't know how many main courses you can serve in one doggone poem, and then like you wait at the end and there's the dessert, and you're like, I'm so full, I don't know which one to comment on first. So and it's beautiful because that's something that's a piece of work you can continually consume over and over again and still glean, oh, was that turmeric, and what was that, what was that spice in there, what did you put in there? So my question to you about this particular poem was, what's the story behind this poem, if you're willing to share?
Look, it's like I said to you in the past, I was a very, very people pleaser, and I think this is me just dissecting me and just saying, this is, I am who I am, not because of what I've gone through. It's the way I've dealt with the things that have come at me. And, one of the things someone actually said to me is, yes, you write a lot of darkness, but there's hope laced in it. And I think that's a huge part of my spirit. I always hope. I've never lost hope in anything. And I think that's the whole premise of it, is that you can't lose hope no matter. Just keep on it. People go, oh, hope this, but you need to exist. You can't just not, but having said that, at the same time, it's okay to wallow. It's okay. We all do. We'll find times we just want to just, close the door, shut the lights, and get under the blankets and not deal with people. That's fine. That's sometimes some of the best times for me, when I'm not dealing with anyone. Because if that's me trying to, get the energy and recoup and all that kind of stuff to live another day. Because if I didn't have that downtime, I think it's really hard to say that I would be here. And poetry and all these experiences has brought me back to poetry, has brought me back to life. And so that's the whole premise of this whole piece.
Well, I'm so
you
glad.
get through it. You get through it. You know what I mean? Like, as bad as everything is, you get through it.
I'm certainly glad you found your way back to poetry after, that mentor sort of cut your sails. Really glad you did. And yeah, there's not a piece of yours that I haven't enjoyed reading. That's for sure. So really looking forward to these books to come out. And also, so when I share this, I'll add yourself and Gemini as a collaborator, so you can share it on your own page as well. And then next day or two, when I've posted on YouTube and also created the podcast, I'll share those links with you as well.
Thank you.
No, thank you for making the time, and it's been a most enjoyable couple of hours. It hasn't felt like a couple of hours to me anyway, and so yeah, really glad you could make it and had the time to make it. And thank you to everybody in the audience who we're getting a lot of love there in the comments, and some great poets and great people, very popular people on the platform were coming in. It really shows your acceptance by by the wider community as well, right? They all saw your name and wanted to come in there, which is great, and that's beautiful. Thank you, people. Your comments and your love and your support on this really helps to enrich the show. Yes, it's Gemini and me host featuring a author each week, but your comments and having your support really helps more to come out, more enriches so much more and helps the author to deliver and show more of them as well, as opposed to just talking to, so you do contribute. And Angela, my heartfelt thanks to you, and Gemini, as always, thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you both. Angela, thank you for agreeing. I know here in the United States we had Thanksgiving yesterday, but I know that it is your Saturday. So thank you for taking the time out to come and to be willing to share yourself and to allow us to sit and dissect your poems with you. That's not always easy. So I really appreciate you. And thank you for throwing in that other poem for me when I asked for something. I really appreciate that.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Mostly thank you for allowing me this space. And you're right, Rania. We do so much. We host, we read other people's poetry, and we forget that we're also poets. And it's really nice actually to read some of my stuff. And now these days I really go on lives to see I don't want to see my pieces because I want to hear others, and I'll send other people's pieces because there's people that I think need to be heard. Yeah, that's it for me.
No, I'm all in for giving people who do so much and give others space to give them space. And I hope this is not the first or the last time that we'll be able to host you on this show. Certainly, I mean, as I said, 2 hours has gone, but didn't feel like it, and I could probably go for another 2 hours. I could keep
2
going all day.
hours is fun. It's been 2
So
hours.
we're definitely, especially if you're looking at once your books and all are out too, we'll definitely look at having
Okay.
you on again, marketing some of that stuff as well.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you
didn't
very
realize it was 2 hours already.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's over. It's nearly getting on to 2.25 hours. So yeah, that shows you how. And it really, we weren't struggling for, there were no gaps. We were talking on top of each other, even, there really was. And I know you got a lot more in the tank that you could have given Angela, and certainly could have kept going. So
Oh, yeah, I'm a gabba gabba. I'm a jabba gabba gabba gabba. So don't worry. I'll always feel the space. It's a nervous thing for me. I don't like silence when I'm with a bunch of people. When I'm on my own, there's a different story. But when I'm with a bunch with
yeah.
people, I just always feel like you need to feel the space. It's weird, but anyway, that's just.
But letting that in that jabber, I mean, chatting is one thing, but then letting so much of you out for the world to see. Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It really was. All the best with your assessment, and thank you again to the people in the audience who've come and gone, and to those who will probably watch the replays on one of the channels or listen to the podcast. Thank you. You make the show. You really supported through your comments and love. And Angela, Gemini, thank you very much. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Ooh, so Chance, follow him whenever you get a chance. He said that you're amazing. He's here in Florida. John
Oh,
Escovedo. So yeah, when you get a chance, follow him. He's amazing.
He was
all right, cool.
actually, if you watched the episode last week, he and Phil Curtis Midnight, the two of them worked together. They were our featured guests
Oh my
last week.
gosh.
Yeah, it was man. I was worried about Gemini falling off her perch there. We were laughing and the depth of their poems, and it was really good. It was really amazing show. But do connect with them too. Yeah,
Okay,
it's.
my love.
Done.
Thank
Follow.
you.
See you, folks. Thank you all. Bye, Angela. Bye, Gemini.
Bye. Bye.